As a person who works in the design and architectural industry, you really want to be an extension of something that's greater than yourself. To now have a rightful place on the Sheikh Zayed Road, which is One Za'abeel, is a truly iconic project, and to say that we've been able to be a part of it and be a fabric of the DNA that's went into One Za'abeel really just fills us with such excitement.
When we set out the design direction, we were intent on having this development reflect that spirit of Dubai, the boldness of the direction, the challenge to the existing norms. So we wanted to challenge every single established engineering feat and try to exceed it. One Za'abeel targets the user across the board. So it's not just for a specific group of users. The hospitality component in itself has different grades, classes between the luxury all the way to the ultra-luxury elements, managed by none other than the one and only, which is a very well internationally known brand of hotel management. And we have a plethora of restaurants, specialty restaurants, celebrity chefs that will offer a gamut of culinary achievements worldwide. The office component would house grade A offices that will accommodate international operators. And the residential units invariably are the penultimate in design, articulation, and finish.
It's been mentioned in the past that One Za'abeel is very much the house of firsts, should we say. So it was definitely ringing true when we had to present Fiandre into the project, because it was definitely our first time exploring new avenues of what the potential of the material was.
Arteco was established over 15 years ago as an architectural services company to mainly serve the design industry. We are mainly focused on high-end quality materials that are produced by the most eco-friendly technologies. Our partnership with Fiandre is a truly unique and inspiring business story. It's a story of two partners who share the same values and same ambitions of serving the design industry. For us in Arteco, and me personally, One Za'abeel is a true reward of many years of hard work, and I will remain proud of it forever.
So if you look at the development, it's not just a couple of towers that are standing, accommodating all of those high-end components. It's what links the two towers together. And actually, over many years internally, our reference to the development is that this is actually three towers and not two vertical and one horizontal, because that link element that links the two towers was an engineering feat that I think was quite a challenge to conceive, to detail, and to construct. And I could spend hours actually going through what each step led to be able to ultimately, about a year ago, less than a year ago, lift this huge 10,000-ton structure and anchor it between those two towers. At the end of the day, this development is going to be used by residents, office goers, hotel guests, and visitors. And our ultimate goal is to have each and every individual appreciate the seamless journey that we built around all those activities. The link itself, which is this huge structure that links the two towers, not only is it an engineering feat to actually build and suspend, but also to activate. So the activities that are within this link between all the hospitality elements, the restaurants and the bars and the visitor experiences, was quite challenging to gel the structural requirements for rigidity and stability and safety, and the experience itself. But if we take a closer look at each and every one of those components, you will find that within each component, this element of attention to detail and attention to the journey continues. It's part of the entirety of the delivery.
I think as Arteco and Fiandre, as both manufacturer and distributor, we really do our utmost to make sure that we listen to the client's request, we find workable solutions for our clients, and we implement those workable solutions. One Za'abeel was really erected to serve the modern urban client with a very discerning taste. So as you're met with the lobby, it's only right that you have these very classic, sophisticated look of the Calacatta Situario, and then as you're walking through the lobby, your eyes are quickly gravitated towards the brass inlay that's been embossed into the Calacatta Situario. So just giving a real essence of timelessness and sophistication.
The residential tower, we actually, from a design and experience point of view, wanted to cover quite a spectrum, a range of offerings that will accommodate the desires of our potential users. So all the levels below that horizontal structure, which we call the link, we created single-level apartments, we call them simplexes, that are extremely well appointed to service, again, the end user. And anything above that link, we created homes elevated up in the sky in the form of duplexes. So everything that sits up on top of the link is actually a two-story structure, be it all the way from a one-bedroom apartment to the four-bedroom apartment and the penthouses. When it comes to the residential units, even the smallest of the units, we paid attention to all those details that I keep referring to in terms of material selection and color selection to make sure that experience is not lost once you go into this unit. So the selection of the flooring and the cladding and the wall coverings, the joinery, all of that gel together to create an environment that has that elevated delivery to the end user. To give you an example, the ceramics that we actually used in the bathrooms reflected that elevated finish to whereby the entirety of the space, when you walk in, the color and the finish does complement the rest of the attention that we talked about as far as highlighting the usability and the detailing of all of those elements.
For us, when it looked at the bathrooms, using Marble Lab ensured that we had the same look and aesthetics on the walls as we did with the floor, but we're compliant with technical R ratings. And on top of that, we had to add a different dimension into the mix, which was making sure that our vanity worktops had no joints and were of a certain size and in compliance to reduce the wastage that we had on the overall project. So using Marble Lab on the wall and floor applications, as well as creating custom-made herringbone mosaic. So yes, a powerful amount of emotion goes with One Za'abeel from a personal perspective, and I feel as much part of the project. For us, the benchmark with One Za'abeel was always ultra-luxury meets high performance. So for that reason, it was penultimate that we could only go with Fiandre in this project.